Okay, here we go. Music. Here we go. Hey, welcome everybody. This is Ella San Jose with my good friend and mentor Blll Tan, and I'm going to introduce it a bit, but I just want to welcome you. This is our broadcast here, Friday, January 12th in 2018. Got to get used to saying that. It's been a little chilly here in California, had a little bit of rain and a lot of stuff going on weather-wise, and Bill's just bouncing back from a little bug, but so I really thank him for coming here last minute. Just to give you a little background on Bill, and I always tell him I can never do you justice because you have so much experience and so much expertise in so many areas, but Bill has been a longtime veteran investor. He's known as a very knowledgeable teacher and expert in notes. He's taught me a lot about notes personally, and he also is a club founder. He founded one of the oldest, or is the oldest club in San Diego. I know he's running one up in Los Angeles now. Called the LAREIA, Los Angeles Real Estate Investors Association. And Bill's kind enough to talk about a couple things that I think are really important for investors out there. You want to say hello to our listeners out there and viewers out there, Bill?
Hi, everybody.
So, Bill, you've been pretty busy. I know you were a Masters of Ceremony for a big event out in the Los Angeles area just recently where a lot of investors from all over the place were there to meet. Tell us a little bit about what you did there.
Well, Robert Hall & Associates, a CPA firm, hosted an all-day Los Angeles Real Estate Summit 2018.
Okay.
And what it was a free event. They even provided lunch. And it was a series of educational speakers. Nobody sold from the stage. And then they also had tables outside where they had sponsors who you could go and ask questions from. And it was a wonderful event. A lot of good education. My only qualm is that, speakers only have so much time to give out a lot of information. And so for many of the people, it's like taking a sip of water out of a fire hose.
Right.
It was wonderful. It was all day. And from everything I've heard, everybody thought it was wonderful.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate and blessed to be the Master of Ceremonies for the third straight year.
That's great. Oh, I didn't realize you did it for 3 straight years. That's great. One thing that I really find important that you brought up many years ago, and I noticed that you talked about the subject of how to make the most of attending a real estate event. And then as we were chatting, I was like, oh, that could probably be morphed into how to best attend a real estate club meeting because, actually with Phoebe, we have a lot of new people every time, and I'm sure in your investment club too out in the San Gabriel Valley, you always have newbies coming in every month. So why don't you drop some knowledge to our viewers out there and to me as well of, what are the keys to making the most out of investment club event or meeting?
Okay. Let me give you some do's and don'ts. Okay. And by the way, after we're done, we have a guest package that everybody who's new to the LA REIA meetings gets, and it has a lot of great information, including an article on are you new to a real estate club, and here's some rules to guide you. And a lot of people find it very helpful, in addition to the fact that I give people an orientation. But the biggest mistake I see people doing is they come in, they go straight and sit down at a chair all by themselves and stick their nose in their phone. Biggest mistake. Why are you there? That's the number one question you should be asking yourself. Why are you there? Are you there to get your email, to answer your messages, or are you there for some other reason? Could it be education? Could it be networking? Could it be just to learn what who are the players and who maybe you should be listening to, where you can get information?
Uh-huh.
What clubs are better than other clubs? Because there are different types of clubs out there. For instance, there are for-profit clubs where speakers come in, they sell something,
Mm-hmm.
and the club owners get a piece of that. And so they're continually bringing in speakers to sell. And that's not necessarily the best thing especially for new investors. There's your group and my group, your
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe's, for investor by investor, my LA REIA. We are not for profit. I don't take any money out of my club whatsoever. And then there are the others that are non-profit,
Mm-hmm.
which is a whole legal discourse. And I took the San Diego Creative Investors Association nonprofit. Now they have a board to run it
Mm-hmm.
and to take care of all the legalities. And those are not for profit. That doesn't mean that they don't bring speakers in that'll sell things, but you need to know and understand the clubs that you're going to when you're going into. Also, when you go into the meeting,
Uh-huh.
be sure that the group gets your email address that they can contact you with, so they can notify you about upcoming meetings. Because
Okay.
if you like it, you'll get notified about it. And if you don't like it, then just unsubscribe.
Right,
from
right.
that.
So my takeaway so far, Bill, is number one is when you arrive in a meeting, make sure you've spent time on understanding your purpose for being there. Um,
What's your
going
most
to a
valuable?
meeting.
What is the most valuable thing you and I both have is our time.
Right, right.
So make the most efficient, best use of your time. Most meetings have a slideshow going up on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
imparts information
Right.
about the club, about what's going on in the area, all kinds of great information. Take time. Sometimes it takes 5-10 minutes to see the whole slideshow. One other thing, people come to the meetings and they don't have a business card.
Jeez.
And that's not a good thing.
There's got to be a way to connect, right? And a way for somebody to reach you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a business card, ask the person you're dealing with to get one of their business cards, put your information on it, give it back, and ask for another one.
Okay,
And
so one of the takeaways is having a purpose, making sure you understand kind of the format of the meeting to understand, hey, is it for profit, is it nonprofit, so I can prepare myself for what's coming next, and then finding methods to connect, whether it's by business card. And I would think that if I'm a newbie, you kind of have to get rid of that fear of connecting with people, because we all were newbies at one point or another. And I'll have to say that the real estate community, they're pretty connecting people. They want to meet. They're outgoing people. So I understand that having a fear and maybe putting your face down on your phone is kind of like a nervous thing maybe, but get out there and press the flesh and just ask a lot of questions.
well, what I like to always tell people is, especially if they're new and
Yeah.
at the orientation,
Uh-huh.
I ask, who are you or shy? And the hand may go up reluctantly at about
Right.
2 inches. And I say, look it, your time is your most valuable thing. How's this? By the power vested in me, I give you permission today to be a networking machine. To step out of yourself for tonight only. Tomorrow you can go back to it, but for tonight, you're going to be a networking machine. And if they do have business cards, what I do like to do is I say, give your business card with your left hand, shake with your right hand,
Mm-hmm.
take their business card and put it in your left pocket in
Okay.
a certain place.
Got it.
Keep it, and also your business cards, maybe you have it in your front pocket, or
Right.
put all the other cards in your left pocket.
So put it all in one place.
Yes, and after you've met someone,
Yeah.
then take just a moment, take a pen, and you should have a pen with you at all times. Take a pen out, take their card out, and write something about them, like, okay, Ellis, okay, mustache and goatee, wears glasses,
Right.
vertically challenged. Yeah, but in your case, very intelligent. Wow, he invests in notes and he has some apartment buildings. Write that about so that you can then remember who you met and what they look like. As many personal things about the person as possible, so that later on,
I like that.
after the meeting, then you go
Right.
through those cards Look at your notes and say, okay, and that way you can remember. I will remember you better next time.
Right.
And when I next meet you and I say, "Hi, Alice, this is Bill Tan," you're going to go, "Wow, you remembered my name."
Right, right. I like that thing that you added about having some personal knowledge of them that you can remember and jot it down, because if you bring it up, like, oh gosh, I remember last time we met at Bill Tan's meeting, you talked about a partial note or something, right? You put that down, and then that automatically builds a deeper connection because, like, oh, this person was really paying attention.
Oh gosh, that's the most valuable thing when somebody has your attention. And then if we're talking, I can go right back to our conversation. Oh yes, we were talking about the partials.
Hmm.
Hey, did you do this, this, and this,
Right.
like we talked about? And also, when you go to a meeting, don't go there selfish and with a
Hmm.
selfish attitude that I'm just trying to get as much as I can out of everybody. That's the worst. I think that is maybe the worst thing, because
Yeah.
I've seen many people who just go from people to people and they're just sucking everything they can
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever, and they want, and they're not given anything. And
Hmm.
the impression they leave with everybody is, I never want to talk to this person again. Is there
Yeah.
any way I can avoid it in the future? Or
Right.
if you come with a, hey, is there any way that I can be of service
Mm-hmm.
to you? Because people come up to you and me at meetings
That's right.
and they say, hey, I need a mentor.
Right.
Will you mentor me? And my always question is, what's in it for me?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Why should I do that?
It goes back to time again, right? It's like you've got time to take care of a finite amount of time to take care of what's important to you. So have respect for your time
And
out and
that's one
stuff.
of the things. Respect other people.
Right.
And but if you do want to connect with someone,
Hmm.
look for ways to be of service to them.
Right. Even if
Don't
it's not
set
real
your
estate, right? Because
Oh,
there's a lot of
absolutely.
people from so many different walks of life. I remember I met a person that was a veterinarian, and he went to a real estate club meeting, and I think he was maybe a little intimidated that he wasn't a real estate expert, but I had a lot of, because I have pets, and I had a lot of questions for him, and we built kind of this really good comfortability because he was wanting to contribute to me as well. So yeah, that's a amazing point.
And another thing is, if you allow yourself to meet other people, they will
Yeah.
make you comfortable.
Right.
They want to be comfortable around you.
Absolutely.
So, and oh, here's a good one. Got this one from Robert Orfino. I know it's true, and I just hadn't thought about it till he brought it up, and that is, go to a meeting early. Okay,
Mm.
that's really a thing. That's because you want to be considerate of others. You don't want to barge in and make a lot of noise when the meeting is already running. So get there early if you can, if possible.
Right.
Before the meeting starts, people are networking.
Hmm.
Look for a group where there's one person talking and everybody else is listening.
That's a good sign, right?
That's a good sign. You want to go join the group. Nobody's going to tell you go away. Just
Right.
sit there, be respectful, and listen. That person must have something of value to say. That's why everybody else is listening. You and I both have seen Tony Alvarez.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. When
He's,
he holds court, right? There's people lined up and they're just jotting down and trying to get some the nuggets that Tony will expound upon.
and a lot of people, one of the reasons they go to a meeting is to let other people know what they do,
Uh huh.
right? So
Uh
they
huh.
bring flyers.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. However, you should always ask whoever's meeting it is if it's okay to pass out flyers.
Getting permission. Yeah. A lot of courtesy there.
Because most meetings, that's not okay. They
Yeah.
usually have a table where you can put your business cards and your flyers, and they do not want you to be polluting the room with your flyers, and that will really, really tick them off. Another
Yeah.
thing is when the speaker's on stage and you've met somebody, like I met you,
Uh huh.
let's not go to the back room and talk. Let's go outside of the room to talk because it's really distracting to other people. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
distractions.
Right.
Bruce Norris was speaking at the real estate summit meeting. 4 people had their phones go off.
Oh no.
So
My pet peeve. Oh
when
boy.
you're at a meeting, put it on silent, put it on vibrate.
Right. especially with a person that is really disseminating some really specialized knowledge, like Bruce Norris. Oh my gosh, you don't want to miss, or there's somebody there that perhaps traveled a long way, took some time out of their day. You just have, a lot of that you're talking about is just like common courtesy, having courtesy for the club owner, for the guest speakers, etc. But it makes a lot of sense, and it's always good to have a reminder.
Good manners. It's just good manners. Another thing, don't shout out questions to the speaker. Some speakers will allow questions.
Mm-hmm.
Most, they want to speak and then accept questions later because they only have so much time.
Right.
So a lot of them say, my presentation is going to be this long, and then we'll allow questions at the end. So if you're at a meeting and you have a question, write it down. Don't blurt it out.
Got it.
I mean, just common courtesy.
Right. Any other tips that you think are important?
Oh gosh, so many things. Always bring some way of taking down notes. I see people come with nothing.
Wow.
The speakers, especially at our meetings,
Uh-huh.
yours and mine, the speaker's there to impart information. And at my meeting, we record it, but not everybody records their meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And our recordings are only available to our annual members. Annual members pay fee. They don't have to pay at the meetings, and then they get a copy of the recording and other benefits. So be sure to take good notes.
Right.
And I suggest at the end of the meeting, ask other people, what one or two things did you get out of this meeting? Because they may have heard something that you did not. In fact, that's always the case. Of my LA RIA meetings, we always have dinner afterward. And it's my favorite time. And you ask, I'm laughing, but I go around to each and every person at the table, and we have, 15, 20 people at the after meeting dinner. And I go, what one thing did you get out of tonight's meeting? Mm-hmm. What one point really resonated with you? And if you go through 20 people, you'll have some people who said the same thing, but you may have 12 different answers, or 15 different answers. And the other people going, I didn't catch that.
Right, yeah. Very
cool. So it's always nice to, and it also then cements what you learned. Mm. So that's a really good thing. Oh, and in line with that, after the meeting, if you've taken these notes, don't put them away. Because if you do not review those, if you review those immediately when you go home, and then if you review them 2 times within the next week, you'll retain 80% of what you got out of the meeting. And like I said before, that's your most valuable asset, your time.
While it's fresh.
Why waste it? Right.
Right.
This thing called life gets in the way once you leave.
Yeah. This is kind of a question that, with all your years of seeing a lot of people come and go in the real estate industry and having these meetings, I bet there's a lot of success stories that you've witnessed where, somebody shows up to a meeting, fresh, and green and a big, newbie, but then you see them consistently educating themselves, and then, lo and behold, they're really, making some huge strides and becoming an expert. I know for one, I went to a meeting many years ago, and there was this young guy who was saying, I'm having so much trouble. He was just starting out. He goes, I can't get anybody to respond to my mail. And but I kept on seeing him going to that event and to other marketing events, and I think the last couple of years, I think he's easily surpassed 7 figures in acquisitions. So, there are a lot of success stories out there for attending clubs diligently. Are there any that come to your mind to you that you've seen people, just really get a huge value out of going to these clubs?
Oh, absolutely. And they usually have several things in common. Uh-huh. And one is they are looking for people who are successful. Right. And emulating what they do, not necessarily being mentored by them, but asking those people questions and saying, I'm due this. Do you have any suggestions to help?
Right.
And, if somebody comes to a meeting, those people at the meeting are willing to answer questions.
Uh-huh.
The other thing is those successful people take action.
Right. They're taking action.
They don't wait for things to happen. They make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is they learn how to market. They learn how to find deals. Either they find the deals or they learn who will find the deals for them.
Right.
And once they start getting the deal flow coming in, then they look for the money. Because once you find a good deal, you can always find the money.
Right. Right.
And most people that don't succeed is the fact that they took a class, it didn't work now, and then they quit. Right. Whereas they've spent all this money, they spent this time to educate themselves, and they don't understand that failure is only when you quit. It's just when something doesn't work this time that you just got educated. Mm-hmm. You may not have liked the lesson you learned. However, you did learn something. And the successful people are the ones who have made mistakes. Okay, don't be afraid of making mistakes.
Right.
However, if it might be an expensive mistake, go ask for help. And there's always somebody, especially at meetings, and the leaders of the meetings are the connectors. We're the connectors. We know who does what and who knows what.
I can't even imagine how many people have come up to you and said, "Hey, Bill, here's my issue," and then you've connected the dots either directly or indirectly, saying, "Oh, here's the person to ask." I know I ask you a lot of stuff about, "Oh gosh, who would you recommend as a note servicer?" or blah blah blah. And yeah, you're right. That's a really valuable resource to tap into. Are a lot of these group leaders like yourself?
Or you could become the what I just said, a connector. Mm-hmm. So I've noticed other people who became successful by going all around, and then they learned who the people were, and then they started making the connections. Right. And because they were making connections, deals started flowing through them.
Right, right.
So there's many ways to do it.
Yeah, I like the thing you brought up about, staying consistent with your education, things like that. Because I remember, here's kind of a personal testimonial to you, Bill. Hope you don't mind me tooting your horn a little bit. But I remember, it's many, many years ago where you were explaining a RAP loan. And, on paper, I've read about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, RAP loan, no big deal. And then when you actually have somebody like you show it with visual aids and then really go through real numbers of real deals, I was like, oh my gosh, I finally get it. And it took me a while. I didn't get it the first time.
Almost nobody gets it the first time.
Right.
However, as a teacher, when I see the aha go on in your eyes, I mean, that is just everything. Right. I was talking to Bruce Norris, and where's my passion nowadays? It's teaching.
Yeah. Great. So yeah. I know you teach calculator classes, and you also have an ongoing club. So you have the next meeting is coming up on February 7th, and that's in the Elks Club in the San Gabriel Valley, right? That's 1373 East Las Tunas. Is that correct?
I think it's 1343, but it might be 1373.
Okay.
It's close.
It's the Elks Club, right?
1373 sounds good.
Okay.
Yes, San Gabriel Elks Club.
And they can always look up the information on meetup.com. I know that you have a page on there that allows people to sign up and things like that. And then
they can Google LA-REIA.
Oh, that's true. LAREIA. Another thing that's coming up that I noticed on your calendar is you have probably one of the most brilliant real estate minds that I've ever met, Peter Fortunato, coming out from Florida on March 14th. And, talk about somebody that loves teaching. Peter is a professor of, a high level of engineering transactions and seeing opportunity where others don't. And he'll be there on March 14th, same location, and your meeting starts at 6 p.m.
Yeah, normally our meetings are on the second Wednesday of every month. Uh-huh. However, in February, the second Wednesday falls on February 14th.
Gotcha.
And like you, I'm married.
Right.
And I wish to remain married.
A smart man.
And since it's my group,
yeah,
I moved.
You can call it right?
Yeah, so normally we're on the second Wednesday. But going back to Peter, Peter is one of the two most intelligent people I've ever met in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also one of the nicest people I've ever met in
Yeah.
the business.
Yeah.
He is willing to talk to anyone. He talks right at ground level. He doesn't speak above anybody's head. And he's the millionaire next door,
Yes.
the guy who looks like a bum and is just wealthy and brilliant. And one of my favorite teachers. I've learned so much from him. You learned from me. I learned from Pete.
Yeah, Pete's an amazing guy, and you're right. You know, at first glance, you're like, this guy is not a showy guy. He's not going to show off or anything, but he eats, thinks, breathes real estate and transactions, and he's like I want to say chess master, but it's almost like three-dimensional chess in a way, because there's people that think 2-3 moves ahead, but he is at a whole nother level of seeing a transaction in many more dimensions than most people that I've ever met.
Well, you and I were talking before the show, and he is also an exchanger like I am. And so he puts literally puts 3D transactions together because he knows, I know that this guy over here has this guy over here has this, and what I want to do, and he then puts it all together where other people wouldn't have seen the deal.
Yeah.
Here's a quick story about Pete that
please.
it just tickles me. He was telling me the story about one night he was reading in bed with his wife, and he got all excited. His wife turned to him, and then she realized he was reading the U.S. tax code, and he'd figured some way to save money.
Oh my gosh. Well, I could bet that with the new tax code that's coming along, Peter will have a lot of reading material in the upcoming months for sure.
Well, one reason we're having Pete is he's going to tell, you can have a CPA tell you what the tax changes are.
Right.
Pete will tell us from a real estate investor's point of view how we can use it to our benefit.
Right. Very good points. Maybe that's another subject we could talk about, and I'll have you a guest. We'll talk about exchanging, because that's a subject that I find very fascinating. It's like another level for me to learn about this whole world called real estate, and there's not a lot of experts around in my age group that I can go to. So it's a lot of people like you and other people that are kind enough that want to share that knowledge and hopefully have that carry through for many more generations.
I hope so, because I thought I knew a great deal about real estate and notes because I'd been doing it for years. And then I went to an exchange meeting.
Right.
And they were way beyond me. So I educated myself with them, and I was fortunate to learn from some of the best.
Right. Well, that's perfect. Well, listen, Bill, we're going to close out the half hour here. It is Friday, January 12th. It's around 4:30 now, and I want to say, hey, thank you so much, Bill, for coming on and sharing your knowledge about how to make the most out of meeting people at real estate events and real estate meetings. And for sure, we'll have you on again where we can talk about more of the nuggets of knowledge that you've accumulated over the years. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and you can catch this on a replay here on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel. So everybody have a nice, safe weekend, and we're going to take you out with a little music. But thanks again, Bill, and talk to you soon.
Aloha.
Aloha. That was great, Bill. I'll talk to you soon again about when you might be free, and we'll come up with some other subjects that you can share with us, because I know that we talked about kind of how things are going in this direction. We're doing much more virtually, so we would really love to share your knowledge with a wider audience online, because it's a little bit easier to kind of get a taste of what's out there.